Oh, there we go. Okay, what's going on, everybody? Let's get right to it. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, right? Tuesday? What's up? What's up, y'all? We got the camera moving around on us, but let me just double check, make sure we're good here. All right, hold on. Just double check, make sure. Yep, we're good. All right, so what is up, everybody? Nothing really moving on over right now. We're just gonna uh get some work done. I just figured, you know what, why not, chop it up, do some Q&A, do like a little co-working stream. I see Twitch is starting to do some co-working streams. So what's up? What's up, Mary? Why I got hold on? What we holding on for? But yeah, getting some wanting to get some work done. You see my camera moving all over the place right now. But welcome everybody. Welcome. This is um I guess we're co-streaming. We're doing the Alpha Cybersecurity YouTube channel as well as Alpha Esports and Technology, since I am doing work both and I'm co-working out of the location right now. So welcome everybody to the stream. Hey, what's going on? How you doing? Hey, listen. I'm good. I can't complain. You know what? Chilling. Oh, you at the bar. See, okay, now that's a different type of co-working. I'm good though. I'm good. I'm working, getting stuff done. Um, got a lot, got a lot of things going on. I might end up having to start actually considering hiring some people over here at the center. Fingers crossed, because that means you got to be doing well. But I'm good. I'm surviving. I promised. I keep promising one day I'm gonna do like a whole uh podcast or documentary series about these last couple years. I ran into so I think I said it the other day too. I ran into somebody and they told me I was the Andre 3000 of cybersecurity. I and I mean I find it funny, but at the same time I'm like, I didn't know how to feel about that, but I know why I'm doing it. So how are things on your end? How everybody watching? I know we got a few people watching. We got some folks on YouTube. We got some folks on Twitch. Where else are we streaming? Where else are we streaming? I think I'm on LinkedIn right now too. Bring me to. Hey, look. Let's. Hey, you already know. You already know what it is. Just say when. Like I said, we've been busy, man. It's crazy. I got so many things going on. In life, personal, professional, business side. Um, I have I've been talking about it for a while now. I'm preparing to have my daughter head off to college. It's it's some crazy times right now. I'm grateful, stressed, exhausted, excited, frustrated. What else? I think I've gone through all of the emotions, man. Like I said, in these last, we're in 2025 now. So, yeah, so these last year and a half, 2 years, whew, the crazy part is I feel like I haven't been able to, I want to record the content but I feel like y'all know me, especially if y'all followed me from my InfoSec Unplugged days and some of my other rants. I feel like once once that opens up, I'm gonna ruffle some feathers, but we know how we know how I love to do that. But anyway, um, yeah, it's been wild is an understatement. Just do it. I will. I will. But like I said, it's different when you're trying to appeal to a different. I'm not gonna say appeal to a different audience, but when you're trying to make sure you're whatever. I don't know. Um, but yeah, like I said, I was telling when I ran into, and I'm not gonna say the name of the person because whatever, we was just kind of chopping it up, but it was like, yeah, I ran into them down in Atlanta, and they're like, yeah, man, you like the Andre 3000 of cybersecurity? I'm like, nah, it's not that I'm Andre 3000. If anybody, okay, say when. Um, yeah, it's not that well, I guess you could say it in the sense that I kind of just pop out. I pop up and disappear, but it's not even that I really disappeared. I just kind of, like I said, there have been a lot of changes in the last couple of years, just in the industry and things, how things have been moving, and I knew I wanted to pivot, and I made my move, and uh, didn't go as smoothly as I originally imagined, and but my outlook on a lot of things changed as well. So, you know what? You try to do you try to do things a certain way for a for a while, and I felt like it wasn't appreciated to a certain extent, and then you also have the nonsense and the BS that go along with it, and then everything that's just kind of been happening in the world, not even just in the tech industry, but just in the world with everything. It just kind of was like, you know what, let me just lay low, reevaluate, and do what I got to do. And like I said, luckily we've been blessed enough to, hold the fort down while going through that transition and building out this center. Um, and doing it our own way. Like they're like the crazy thing that didn't I don't think I really fully understood was when I decided I was gonna open up a gaming and tech education center. I thought it would be less stressful, not so much as less stressful from the business side. Like I figured there was going to be the stresses of being a business owner, but I figured it can't be as bad or as political or whatever as the tech scene. And boy was I wrong. Ty, what's going on? Listen. So yeah, I like it is just as bad, if not in some cases worse. So having to navigate that and navigate it independently. You know what I'm saying? Like one thing that I wanted to make sure of was that regardless of what we did it, we own it. When I say we, I mean, me and my family. Um, the lies you tell. What lies? What am I lying about? But yeah, the making sure that it's owned by us, and there aren't people, and that I don't answer to nobody. If we succeed, we succeed. If we fail, then we fail. But it was something that I felt like it's a move that I wanted to make, and I wanted to do it, independently. And like I said, it was crazy. It wasn't easy. It reminds me of a DC Young Fly and 85 South. They did an interview with Charlemagne and on the Breakfast Club. As a matter of fact, I think there was a clip. Yep, there go right there. All right, so I'm going to those before us don't tell. Wait. Expectations. Those before us don't tell us the gist of doing things, especially on your own. Yep. We can sell classes on how to build it. Man, listen. Um, how do I want to go? Yo, but it's there aren't too many people. Okay, but there aren't. Yes, we have organizations like you got your org, Mary. Tanisha got hers, and I did lean on y'all, especially in the beginning, as far as just kind of getting certain things. But I'm talking, but no one was doing, on top of the gaming side of things, right? Like I jumped into if it was just straight the tech education side of things, I think it probably would have went smoother. uh it probably still would have been stressful. There probably still would have been a lot of politics involved. But when you do that and then you combine the gaming side of it, like for one, in 2022, 2023, wasn't nobody trying to hear nothing about anything I was saying in regards to gaming. 2024, it started to pick up a little bit of traction, and now this year I'm getting a lot more positive feedback. But I remember 2023, we were at a parade. It was it Labor Day? Yeah, it had to be like Labor Day weekend because my kids high school band, they marched in that parade. um and I remember bringing flyers and stuff to hand out during the parade because it was also like something happening at the town center and stuff like that in the park. And I was bringing out flyers to people. And I remember I went to a parent, and the man, I went to say something to him, and the man like straight up like put his hand in my face. And it took a lot to not respond how I wanted to respond, or even talking to the parents when it was like, hey, we could build a safe environment and stuff like that. And there was a lot of, well, why would I do that? And gaming is not real. It's not a real esports isn't a real sport. Yada yada yada. And I understood their argument and respectfully disagreed with them, but they didn't want to hear it for multiple reasons of why they didn't want to hear it from me. But now, especially in Georgia, when you got kids going to school on scholarships for gaming, and you're seeing the type of money that they're throwing around in some of these tournaments, like there's the Fortnite championships is next month in France, or in September in France, and it's $2 million on the line. Everybody's in Saudi Arabia right now, regardless of how you feel about Saudi Arabia and why they're doing it, which can be a completely a totally different stream, but that's for another day. But there's a total of like $72 million in prize money going out right now. So you know what I'm saying. So they're starting to see the value in it, and now it's like, okay, yeah, well, how do we get involved? And then, like I said, and then there's still the politics of it. But anyway, we can sell classes on how to build a business. I have a smart. Whoever said that about esports has never been to Vegas. Yo, that the the crazy part is I see it's also who delivers the message, right? So I see people, I see people on social media who ridiculed me or said whatever they said. I won't say they ridiculed me, but they said whatever they said about esports not being real and whatever, and it's a waste of time and all of that. But then Clinton Sparks, he's a producer, DJ. T Pain, I think Jermaine Dupri, Neo, a bunch of celebrities started a gaming league, right? It's a celebrity ran gaming league. And they did the first event out of Vegas. They did it at the HyperX Arena in Vegas. And the same people who sat here and disagreed with everything I had to say about how you can build communities, how it brings people together, how you can teach transferable skills and all of that. This right? They told me I was talking crazy, but then they see because it's T Pain or because it's a celebrity. Now it's like, oh my gosh, this is this is a game changer. This is crazy. I can't believe no one started this before. Mm, nope, I'm not even gonna do it. I was looking for the button. Um, but so it's all on against and Mary, I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying about the build the business because there's this I had a sarcastic statement about that too because you know how that go. When people try to tell them how to do it the right way, they don't want to listen. But then when people say, "Hey, let's do it this way," and I'm not gonna teach you nothing really, but I'm gonna charge you some crazy money. Everybody's like, "Shut up and shut up. Here's my wallet." Um, I think that was the other thing that kind of led me to be like, you know what, I'm gonna head out this way because y'all weren't not y'all, but people weren't trying to listen to what people were trying to say. Oh, but yeah, and like I said, and to your point about the training groups and facilities, I mean, there are professional teams like leagues. Like everybody play Call of Duty, but nobody stops to look at there's a professional league of Call of Duty where they're playing, they're getting signed by organizations, they're getting sponsorship deals, they're getting NIL deals. There's college kids who do streaming and gaming and esports, and because of the following, because of the popularity in the games that they play, they have bigger NIL deals than some of the athletes that play for the college teams. Like when I saw that stat, it was like, wait, hold on, what? Okay, I just got off the phone with one of the league organizers for one of the leagues that my kids compete in, um, and he was telling me that um, one of the kids in the league, one of the high school kids in the league, got a full ride scholarship to Syracuse University for Smash Brothers. For Smash Brothers, so that's the crazy part. Is like Smash Brothers isn't even considered like I guess a tier one title, but they got a full yeah. What's going on, Chaos Rain? Yeah, by playing video games, right? I know kids down here who've gotten scholarships. Um, there's a story I didn't meet the kid personally, but I know I know one kid who got a scholarship for League of Legends and actually advocated for a young lady who was on the team, but I guess she was like a better manager or like almost like coach as far as like teaching them strategy and stuff like that. And she got a scholarship as well because he was like, "Yeah, man, we probably wouldn't have been as great as we are if it wasn't for her." And they were like, "Okay, you come too." Chaos, yeah, I got a Discord. It should pop up. Coworkers, man, look, Smash Brothers is Smash Brothers. Even though they said Mario Kart is one of the more stressful games. Um, but yeah, you got I just came back from North Carolina, right? I went to North Carolina last month with my Fortnite team. So I have a Fortnite team. I have a middle school Fortnite team. They actually came. They both teams because they play as duos. Both of my teams were top eight and were in the top eight of the country, and we got invited to the All American tournament. They held this tournament in like 3 or 4 different locations across the country because obviously we all couldn't be in one place. They not making money like that. But we went to North Carolina for 3 days, and um hold on, chaos. I just threw it in the chat. But yeah, we went to North Carolina for 2 3 days and competed in a national tournament. Now, mind you, what we didn't know at the time is even though both my team, both my so all 4 of my kids um competed, they were top 8. We didn't know that we were playing against all high schoolers. So now we played against like 25 other high schools. We came in 17th, right? And I say that proudly because we competed against high school kids. Okay, so these are sixth graders. Actually, these are 3 6th graders and a 5th grader, right? I actually had to get a waiver for him to play, but he really wanted to play, right? But on top of it, everything that they learned in the time that we were together, right? So the communication skills, the leadership, the collaboration skills, the problem solving. And see, the other thing is I coined the well, I didn't say I coined the phrase. I believe in the term of using gaming as I call it the cheat code. I use gaming as a cheat code to teach skills for future careers. Right. So we have training platforms. They know about online safety. They know about like cyber safety. They know about how to avoid phishing. They know about they know about proper like hygiene as far as sleep, rest, exercise. They know about being a good citizen. These are things that we also incorporate into our programs. And it's like I said, it's starting to pick up now. But when we were doing this before, it was wild. But yeah, they got. But in this tournament, that's what I was getting at. In this tournament that we competed in, the prize was $2,500 in scholarship money. So the winning teams got money towards college. Okay. Hold on, because I'm pretty sure the it's grown since then, but I believe up 100. Yeah, so it's about 180 college teams. There's 180 college esports programs right now. I mean, like I said, my daughter has a band scholarship, but she also is an Overwatch player. So why, if there's an opportunity there, do let them do something they love. So yeah, but one of the things. So hold on, I was gonna say, as far as being independent, I'm gonna share this. Let me know if y'all can hear it. And excuse, like I said, excuse any language. So I saw that, and it hit home for me because the one thing that I've been experiencing the most is that they 50 Cent said it one time in another interview. It was like the moment you can walk in a room and not need anything is when they'll try to offer you everything. And I remember that first year, it was we tried so hard to, you know, hey, let's partner. Hey, let's do this. Hey, we were giving out the center space for free at times, just to kind of get people in here to see it and to and then hopefully like have that go back and whatever. And we were reaching out to the schools. I mean, we were practically begging. Like I said, we were getting turned away rudely. And it wasn't until we started to position ourselves a little bit differently in like spring of 2024 where now it's the conversations are a little bit different. But now when I go to some of these when I go to some of these events and I go to some of these places, all right, cool, chaos. Yeah, well, now when I go to some of these spots and it's like I call them the cool kids club, and I'll probably get in trouble for that. And I mean that's something that I just kind of carry with me, even in the tech and cybersecurity space. And Ty, Mary, y'all know what I'm talking about when I say the cool kids club in cybersecurity or in infosec. But it's the same thing, right? Like you have this group of people, insiders, whatever you want to call them, and like they're the ones who kind of do whatever. And then you have outside of the circle, you have me, right? Like I tell people all the time, I'm a Game of Thrones fan, so I always say that we're Winterfell, right? We're up here, literally in the north part of Georgia, and I don't answer to anybody. I'm not franchised into anything. I'm not a part of any of the elite clubs or crews, and I'm just trying to build out my own little piece of the kingdom here in the way I see fit. And I do that with our programs. I do that with partnering with other organizations that truly believe in finding ways to benefit the kids, right? I mean, gaming and technology is not going anywhere. Now with AI, it's definitely not going anywhere. So why not again meet them halfway and just and talk about and find ways to work with them. I just saw you on LinkedIn. Yeah, so that's where we went for Monica. Yeah, that's where we were for the Fortnite championships, or the Fortnite All American national tournament. But yeah, we're located in Georgia. But yeah, we took the 6 hour drive up to North Carolina. Shout out to Caleb and everybody at NCEA too. They got a beautiful facility, and he's another one. He's another like minded individual who truly believes in trying to build something, from the ground up to help benefit these kids and also get them the exposure, because a lot of us grew up playing video games, and the most competitive like I know him, I appreciate it. But a lot of people, the most competitive that we've ever played with video games might have been, you know, in a tournament at an arcade, or going to a friend's house and basically playing like that King of the Hill style where winner stays on. But there's so many other opportunities here, and like I said, there's kids going to college, there's kids getting money. I know another young man that has a sponsorship because he does content with it, right? So he's creating content behind with his gaming, and he has his channel, and he's doing all of these things. I know a young man actually, and we're hoping to finalize everything. But if you follow our newsletter, there's a young brother out of Baltimore, who is going to compete at the Pokemon World Championships. 16 years old, 3.9 GPA unweighted, 4.6 weighted. Um, Star athlete in basketball, but he's also top 20 in Pokemon in the country, and he's top 60 in the world. And he reached out to me looking for sponsorship, and like I said, in talking to him, there was so much of his story that resonated with me that I was just like, say less. And then the thing that really sent it home for me was when I got on the call, because obviously he's 16 years old, so I'm not talking to no child without their parent present. um his dad got on the call, and his dad said the same thing. His dad was like, you know what, he's playing the game. And we were like, all right, cool, as long as you do what you're supposed to do. So it started off as they just looked at it like, okay, this is his hobby, as long as he does his chores and he keeps his grades up and whatever, he can do it. And then they started looking more into it, and then they said, all right, you know what, let's go to this competition. And then he went to a competition and he did well. And they're like, man, we think he got something. And then they went to another competition and he did even better. And now they're looking into, okay, how do we do this and incorporate it into everything you're doing with school and basketball and stuff like that. And then they went to a regional tournament, and he ended up beating the previous year's champion. So now they're like, okay, boom, yeah, we definitely got to do something. So don't go nowhere. I'll be right back because I did have a guest that just walked in. Give me a second, and I will be with y'all momentarily. The camera's gonna follow me. No, no, you're good. I just came to say hi. Oh, okay. Yeah, man. Yeah. I didn't want to interrupt. No, you're good. You're good. I don't want to interrupt, especially if you're streaming. Yeah. Well, how are things? I mean, good. Yeah. Yeah. I see on your substitute. Man. It took a while. No, we found it maybe the second week. So we went to actually no, that was that same weekend. So it launched, and then I called the GameStop, and they were like, "Hey, right, if they don't, whoever doesn't come this Friday, we're putting it back out." So we ended up actually grabbing three. So so we got one here for here, and then I got my wife one, of course, right, and then I have a third one that kind of goes back. How many wife like? Yes. 3 weeks ago. Yes. She told me. So yeah, so we got those, and then yeah, just kind of been dealing with everything from there. We've been, like I said, we're winding down. Our summer camps are done, so so now we're getting ready for the fall. We actually were doing a backpack drive this Saturday, so to bought a bunch of backpacks. Doing a giveaway. So went to the Comic Con. No, I'm getting ready for my daughter. My oldest, she's about to leave for college. So, never did that come. She actually, so she's in the band with she plays trumpet. So she has a scholarship. She actually got to perform at the MLB All Star game on Tuesday. Yeah, so while they were doing the start, yeah, no, it was huge. Yeah, it's huge. So it's like I'm excited at the same time. It's like yeah, it makes emotion. My firstborn, my baby girl, about to be. I'm gonna let you be, man. All right, I'm gonna let you be. Nice meeting you. Thank you. Yep. All right. Yes, sir. Y'all didn't see? Look. And that's the thing. The camera follows me until it don't. Sorry. I hope I don't nobody give me anybody motion sickness. All right. Hopefully y'all didn't leave me. Ty, Mary, Monica, Chaos, y'all still there? So I don't know if y'all heard, but we are doing a back to school drive this weekend. This Saturday from 2 to 6. We're actually giving away we're doing a backpack giveaway as well. Again, all independent. Did it on my own and trying to make things happen. But about that clip, that is definitely something resonate that resonated with me. Yeah, so that clip definitely resonated with me for multiple reasons because that's exactly what I experienced. You have so many people, and I brought this with me from the I guess from the cybersecurity side of things too. You have so many people who try to, and I'm not trying to say it in a there we go. I'm not trying to say it in a harsh way. All right, so let me preface it by saying that you have so many people who work so hard just to assimilate or fit into what everybody else is doing. And that's never been me. Actually, you know what? Let's keep it a buck. that was me when I first got started, right? Not in the center or what I'm doing with esports and STEM and the education side. But when I first got into tech, I felt like, and I'm pretty sure if everybody's like really honest with themselves, everybody probably felt like the best way to be successful, the best way to be in the mix is to be in the mix, right? I'm just kind of looking at the right. So you want to get into those crowds, right? The infosec space, the cybersecurity space. There are there are some pockets that everybody at one point or another strives to be in, and then maybe around I'm tired of trying to fit in. I struggle with the cybersecurity. Man, look, so it's I want to say maybe for me about about 6 years ago or so, I really started to kind of look at it and go. I really started to pay attention to my own value, right, my own worth, and as being a parent, being a parent and being present when being with for me, it forces you to do a lot of reflection. Um, and the one thing I always tell my kids is no matter what, never put yourself in a situation where you feel like where you have to compromise your integrity. Right? You know what you stand for, you know what you believe in, you know what you don't believe in. Never be put in a situation where you feel like that's something you have to do just to get by, right? Because several people generations before us you'll have had to do that. And when I got to a certain point where it was like, nah, I'm good. It it was a struggle, but at the same time, was um it was refreshing and it was freeing. So now I take that with me everywhere. And like I said, it's probably gotten me in a lot of trouble at times. It's probably part of the reason why I've struggled and struggle for other things, but I'd rather do it that way and come out on the other end knowing that it was I did it I did it my way. I did it with integrity. I did it in the vision that I had for it. So that is something that I instill in my children, and I would be a hypocrite, and not for nothing I raised my kids to tell me I was being a hypocrite if at any given time I'm telling them to do stuff like that, but then in the meantime I'm going along to get along with everything. Now, you know what I'm saying? So for me, opening up this space and was the change that I wanted to see. I felt like there were opportunities that were being missed. I felt like there were um, things that weren't being said or being told properly, right? Going back to the joke back and forth that what I was saying with Mary earlier, as far as oh yeah, we can create a course on how to do it, right? There you got so many. I'm just gonna call it. You got so many grifters in the space that are teaching things that they know nothing or know very little about, but because it is the sexy thing, they are they're doing it and they're running away with it. Um, and they're not teaching the truth, right? There are very few people who are teaching it the right way and being honest about what they're doing. You got some you got some folks out here who are just whatever and doing it and just mm, and and in those situations, like I said, I feel like the kids, the younger generation, they're the ones who are going to suffer because they're the ones who are going to get the mixed messages, and it's going to be so hard for them because they're gonna go into it thinking that it should be one way, because they saw a trending post or they saw something that went viral, and they felt like that's the move, right? To do it fast, and we joke about the six figures in 6 months and all of that. Whereas the truth of the matter is, there there's a process. It's a process. So when we decided, and I say we because, like I said, it was a lot of conversations I had with my wife. And the funny thing is, all of this came to be, if for my folks who are listening, on the from the tech and cybersecurity community. All of this really came to be, I'll probably say late 2022, but it really set for me, at an award ceremony in DC late 2022. I'm sitting at this award ceremony. I'm sorry. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate the comment. As a young generation, I feel that globalization is too much. No, it is, and the thing is like they're not. We're not being honest. Well, people aren't being honest with the younger generation, right? The younger generation, it. I'm not gonna say is right. It's better or worse. I'm gonna say it's different, right? We are we're better educated with things now that we didn't have growing up, right? So take, people who are neurodivergent or have ADHD or anything like that. That was taboo when we were younger, right? Like we didn't talk about it. We didn't go to the doctors and stuff like that. And it was like, I don't give a, you gonna sit down and just, you're gonna figure it out and whatever. Now there's different. Now that we know that there's different ways to approach them, how do we approach them? Okay. Same thing with the gaming side of things, where people are saying, gaming is a waste of time and is rotting your brains and all of that. But studies have shown that actually it does the opposite when done moderately, when done responsibly, when done in an organized fashion. Right? Is no different than anything else. If you overindulge, it will become bad for you. Right? Chocolate or dark chocolate can have benefits. If you overindulge, it can be problematic, right? It's no different than anything else, right? So anyway, we felt like, Lily. I'm sorry, Lily. I do see you. I'm sorry. What's going on? So I do feel like with the education side of things, when you teach them in a way, teach things in a way that, I'm good. Like I said, we're just kind of working. Got some people in and out of the center, so I figured I'd just do a live stream. So, not kind of relaxing on a Tuesday evening. Thanks for tuning in, though. But yeah, so when you have something like tech, and we're located in Georgia, so when you have something like tech that is a multi-million billion dollar industry, but then you have people who are telling you the wrong information, you're setting up a generation of people who maybe who are interested in this, but now because they were given the wrong information. I appreciate the comment. But when you have people who are given the wrong information and now they go into it, and let's say they fail or they struggle or they don't know. They get blindsided. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Um, they become discouraged, right? For example, we do I don't stream daily, Lily. I try to stream when I can. I'm hoping to get on a regular schedule in the fall. That's actually one of my goals. But like for example, we have a tech career exploration club that we teach here. It's a 6 week program, and it literally goes from thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate the follow. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. I mean, I'm an old head, so but I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for following. Um, yeah. When you so the purpose of our tech exploration club, go ahead, make you yes, as long as it's respectful, sure. Um, we start from the beginning. We start from the basics of computers, right? We talk about hard drives versus RAM. We talk about motherboards and everything like that, and then we gradually uh, get into the more technical things. So we start talking about networking, then we start talking about cloud, and we start talking about cybersecurity, then we talk about AI. And the idea is to give them a foundation of all the different things so that they have an idea before they go out and venture into the world of technology and cybersecurity education. Twitch kick affiliate services. Okay. Okay. So I can that's something I have to probably give a thought or two about, Lily. But I appreciate the comment, the suggestion. But yeah, so the concept, so that's basically the concept of that, right? So the idea behind that is to now give them that foundation. And then but throughout the whole process, throughout the whole 6 weeks, they're being told, hey, this no matter what path you take, it's you're going to grind it out. You're gonna have to study, you're gonna have to get these certifications, you're gonna have to lab, you're gonna have to do all of these things. And the reason why we do that is because we want to set the expectation. We set the expectation to them early so that they know that you're not just going to do this and then in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months you're just going to jump into a six-figure salary. No, you're going to work and you're going to go through the process. So I think that's something that's not being told to the kids because they feel like whether it's because of the attention spans or because it's not the flashy sexy thing to say, they're not telling the truth. They're just saying, "Hell yeah, go through my boot camp and go through that." And there's nothing wrong with boot camps. I'm not saying that boot camps are bad. Not all boot camps are bad. I'm saying that we need to be more honest and upfront with them because now when they get discouraged and now they feel like they can't that they failed or that they're not going to succeed. Now what? Now now you have to pick them up, bring their spirits back up, and start all over again. And yes, sometimes people fail. Sometimes people need to fall and fail and dust themselves off and scream into the ether and then go um and then start all over again. I've seen companies disregarding Pen Test Plus being phased out. What are your thoughts? Uh, I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know why they would phase out Pen Test Plus. If you're going to phase out Pen Test Plus, then phase out CEH. Don't see you see you about to get me on now you about to get me pissed off. But anyway, um but what I've seen, and again, it's not anything that I'm just speculating on. This is stuff that I have done in the last 2 years, working with kids, seeing the highs and the lows, and working with them to see how they respond to it. Set the expectation early. Tell them that it's going to take some work. Be honest with them. Right? I've been in tech. I've been in tech over in some capacity for over 20 years. I did not see a six-figure salary, like my base salary. I didn't see that until year 9. I mean, I was always close, but that was because I was working crazy overtime and I was getting paid hourly. But as for a base salary, my first pen test job, my first pen test gig, like official pen test in a pen test shop, I got 92K, but then I got like profit sharing. So that put me over six figures because I would get, an extra, sometimes 1,000, sometimes 1,500, sometimes 500, whatever. But there was profit sharing. So my base was 92 plus, I think it was like 15% profit sharing or something like that. Okay, that was my first pen test job. My next pen test job, I was at 110. And this is about 2 years later. My next one after that, I was at 115. And then I jumped into the AppSec space and I got up to 140. And then when I worked, and then my next AppSec job, I got up to 170. So but this is years later. This is, like I said, this is halfway through my career now. You have people online telling people that they can do this day one. That's not it. You may luck out, but it's not realistic. You have people telling them go to college and once you get your 4-year degree, you'll be able to do that. That's not necessarily realistic either, because you go to college and yes, you have the degree, but you still have to get the hands on, so you still have to get the certs. So a lot of these kids are being misled. I'm not going to say lied to. They're being misled. So, and then you have kids who can't afford to go to college. You have kids who may not feel like they're college material, so to speak. So what are they supposed to do? They don't know the alternatives. They can go work a trade, absolutely. As a matter of fact, we need more tradespeople, but that's if that's what they want to do. But if you have them, so many kids are technically inclined. I saw something that said, yeah, the other day, Verizon put it out that kids have more technology in their cell phones than what was in the rocket ship that took the first astronauts to the moon. So that tells me that these kids are already technically inclined, right? I see young kids now who navigate technology naturally and don't even know what they're don't even know that they're doing it. So why don't we point them in the direction and say, hey, here's an option for you. So that's anyway, that's my thing. Now, let's go back to some of the comments. We run our ads on Google, creating a complete storyboard first before launching the campaigns. Lily, if you want to shoot me a message with your company's information, like I said, I take a look at it. Now, companies disregarding the Pen Test Plus. I don't know about that. I don't know about that because the Pen Test Plus is made from the same company that made the Security Plus. Security Plus is on the DoD 8140 list. I think Pen Test Plus is also on the DoD 8140 or 8570. For those who don't aren't familiar, the DoD 8140 or the DoD 8570, that is the directive where the certifications that you need to have to work certain government jobs. So I don't. So for me, I don't understand how they're going to disregard the Pen Test Plus, but then still keep the CEH when I mean the CEH is more technical now, but for a while there, the CEH was just multiple choice, essentially the Security Plus with some questions in regards to penetration testing. So I don't know. Um, I've seen a shift where they really want people to know their stuff. When we talk about entry level pen test jobs now, they still expect you to have a high level of knowledge in regards to pen testing. That's the shift that I've seen. I've also seen a shift in the salaries, but I think that's something that we've talked about quite a bit, especially in our other Discord. I think that was done by design a couple of years ago. There's a whole there's a whole thing around the money that was being thrown around during 2020 2021. That COVID money, the COVID salaries were crazy. Like you had people making some serious money because they had the extra funding or they had the extra tax breaks or whatever it was, but they were throwing around crazy money to basically poach people back and forth from companies to company, and they were throwing around crazy money. Now all the crazy money is being thrown at AI. So all the other salaries are being skimmed on, and they're throwing it at AI, right? I think. Hold on. Like I said, yep. Do 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 do. Yeah, there was a story. Like I said, there was a story in Reuters, and I mean, I'm not gonna go into the whole thing, but there was a story in Reuters where Sam Altman, the head of OpenAI, the people behind ChatGPT, he said that Meta, so Facebook, Instagram, VR headsets, they were offering his employees at OpenAI bonuses of up to $100 million to recruit them because they're trying to ramp up their artificial intelligence strategy, right? So I'm sorry, they're offering $100 million bonuses. Is crazy. How you doing? Give me 1 second, y'all. Sorry, y'all. See, look, I just we were just talking about we were just talking about AI, right? It's right here. We were just talking about AI, and I just had someone come in and ask me to essentially coach them. It was an older individual, but they came in first talking about their grandchildren. They have 14 grandchildren, and they're all into gaming, and they wanted to inquire about what we do. And then once I guess she said she saw some stuff about me online and asked if I was a person who was also in cybersecurity. And then we started jumping down the rabbit hole of that. And then as well as AI. And now she wants me to be an AI coach. So, so yeah, Um, Lily, if you're still here, like I said, send me a message about what your about your company, and I'll take a look at it. Mary, like I said, I haven't heard anything about that about Pentest Plus either. Like I said, for me, if they're gonna, my opinion is if they're gonna do that for Pentest Plus, if they're gonna scrap the Pentest Plus, then that means they should scrap the CEH. Just my opinion. But then you're gonna go down the rabbit hole of who gets to stay and who goes, because a lot of the cybersecurity certifications, a lot of the pen test certifications are also shifting, right? You have the OSCP changing. You have is the GPen isn't changing. I said OSCP is changing their structure. Um, is Cyber Mentor is TCM? Is their structure changing? I don't know. Anyway, but like I said, it was like I was just talking about. I literally was just talking about the shift in tech and how everybody's cutting jobs to or cutting salaries back to throw more money and into AI. And this person walked in and told me that that they have they know they have someone who works in uh they worked for a recruiting company and they're shifting to AI as well. I'm like, yeah, well, a lot of companies are. I mean, look at what Microsoft did, right? Microsoft laid off, and everybody's focusing on the 9,000 that they just let go in the beginning of the month, but they let go of like 6,000, like I think a month before that, and then they let go of a few hundred here and there, and a lot of it is so that they can focus, they can shift more in on the AI side of things. So definitely got to get folks. We definitely got to get folks, especially these kids, a fighting chance. Um, when it comes to AI, when it comes to tech, when it comes to these careers. We got to give them something that they can focus on. Like I was talking to my wife the other day, and I said it's crazy that with all the things that they can do, right? So, like for example, my daughter's going to school to be a lawyer, um, but she has a she has a backup plan. She doesn't know she has a backup plan yet, but she has a backup plan because I've been teaching her about tech and cybersecurity stuff for a while. Up until she made the is it is it all dev roles? You are you talking about as far as AI is concerned, Rena? Uh, but my daughter, like I said, so she's going to school for law, but she also has an interest in digital forensics. So guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna teach her all about digital forensics so that if for some reason it doesn't work out, she has a fallback plan, right? I'm actually curious to see how digital forensics is going to play in with AI. Now that I think about it, how do you do an incident response or how do you do a digital forensics investigation on AI? I mean, I know how they're going to probably try to use AI to automate the digital forensics investigation process. But with all the breaches around AI right now, because there are breaches. I don't care. Don't let the people fool you. There are breaches. There are a lot more breaches than what they talk about. But I just thought about that. Mary, you still here? Rena, if you're talking about as far as AI and are you talking about the Microsoft layoffs? They did let go of a lot of developers, but they let go of a lot of other roles too. They they focused on the developers and they focused on the video game studios when they announced the layoffs, but a lot if you have connections in Microsoft, you know that there were a lot more people affected. The number is a lot larger than the 9,100 that they said, because they also let go of a ton of contractors who aren't on the books as employees. And again, that's just the game that they play. That's how they do things, right? I mean, we've all been hit by, well, a lot of us in the tech sector have been hit by some of these layoffs in the last few years. I was laid off twice, so um, that's why that's why now I work as a consultant. Because if you're gonna lay me off, then whatever. Hey, I'm gonna max out my earnings while I'm here. But yeah, where did we leave off? Y'all got me ranting and raving and going crazy again. So anyway, um, I don't remember why I was here originally. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to be working. Supposed to be doing some work. So anyway, what's everybody else working on this week? I have, like I said, I have my back to school event that we are hosting on Saturday. Um, I have my esports season that we got to come up that we got to get ready for. So I'm gonna bring my team back in to get back to work, get back to the drawing board, figure out what worked and what didn't work in last season, figure out how where we can improve and how we can take that next step. Again, super proud of them as a middle school team, um, competing against high schoolers. So I mean, it's only up from here. Um, my goal is to launch some more teams. I'm looking at Marvel Rivals. I'm really interested in launching a Valorant team, and we're looking for players, managers, and coaches. So, got to get some stuff out for that. What else? What else am I working on? What else am I working on, y'all? Sheesh. Oh, um, I need to get set looking for another role. Yeah, Ty, I saw that. Um, you gotta you gotta lock in on what you want to do. It's just like I just said just now. Sit down, figure out what worked, figure out what didn't work, figure out what you want to improve on, figure out what that game plan looks like. The like regardless, the landscape has changed. The landscape has definitely um, changed. However you want to look at it, um, Okay. Why? I understand wanting to take a break, but why jump into to something that's kind of different? If you don't mind sharing, that's my. Is it for? Is it for a job purpose? Is it for some? You know what I'm saying? But why? Because if your web apps and wireless are two essentially two separate topics, especially if you're talking about from a pen testing perspective, right? So, like me, like for example, I'll just use me as an example. Um, I started refreshing myself on APIs right now, right? Reason being is because I just want to keep afloat of what keep abreast or keep this whatever, keep up with um, anything that might be new, right? So whether it's the new tools, whatever, right? So for example, I found out that there's a tool out there that some people recommend better than Postman. So I'm looking at how to keep up with that, right? I'm looking at new labs and new things like that just to kind of see how it works. But the reason behind that is also because a lot of the consulting that I'm doing is in the AppSec space, and there is some API stuff in there. And not for nothing, APIs. I think y'all know this about me. APIs in the AppSec space is my favorite niche space right now in offensive security. So because of those reasons, I decided to jump back in a little bit. Right, I'm not in it completely. Right, I get like people said I'm doing the Andre 3000 thing, but if I were to stop that and then go do Active Directory, that would be it's counterproductive. You know what I'm saying? Because now you're just getting it's like you're getting to a certain point, you're getting a little bit here, and then you're getting a little bit here. So it's like if you needed to take, if you, my advice would be if you're going to take a break, and then just kind of chill out for a minute, and then go back into the web apps. To do that, and then to pivot to wireless, it kind of it's kind of going to me personally. Again, I that's just me personally. Um, to do web app and then to stop after you've been doing web app and bug bounty stuff for so long to now just jump into something essentially that's different. I think is going to be counterproductive. Just my opinion. Just my opinion. Um, like if you're going to chill off of web apps and you want to take a break, but you don't want to fully step away from something, then I would say look at something that's still related to web apps, right? So if you're not going to do if you're going to do web app pen testing and you're taking a break from web app pen testing, but you still want to, you know, fill that time with knowledge, look at JavaScript, look at a little bit of Python. You know what I'm saying? Something that is still relatable that you can utilize when you get back to it to give my mind a break and to provide myself a bit of an easy win since it feels like I've been losing lately in my mental state. Okay. I mean that's fair. Um that's fair and I could respect that. Um like I said, I just think to jump from one element of pen testing to another element of pen testing um might hinder you more than it will help. However, I am struggling. My double and myself has slowed me down a bit. No, I can understand that. Again, I'm not talking. I'm not talking just. I'm talking from experience. Like I've documented and I have been open and honest and transparent about, you know, try to learn everything everywhere all at once, and what that does to you. That burnout is real, right? That's why I've never officially gotten the OSCP, right? And then by the time I decided to, I was like, I don't really feel. I've gotten to a point where I knew I grew past it. I've gotten other certifications that are more advanced than it, so I didn't necessarily need to go back and get it. But that whole stretch of me going for that, like that should put me in the hospital, fam. Like not the test itself, but what I put myself through because I felt like I needed to do it. Going back full circle to what we were saying, because this is what everybody said. This is the path. This is how to truly get respected as a pen tester in cybersecurity. And then you start to realize that some of these people be talking all day behind. Some of these people got the certifications and they didn't keep up with it, so they got the certification when it was a lot easier versus what it is now. You find out some people just straight up never got the certification but just lied on their resume. You find out that some people, some of the best hackers that I know and respect, that I look up to, do not have a certification. For me personally, and we're just, again, we're talking for, I know for my folks who aren't in the cybersecurity field, this might be a little foreign to y'all. So I apologize, and I'm gonna get back to the gaming and other stuff in a second. But to me personally, I feel like one of the best hackers that, in my opinion, is Jason E. Street. And when you talk to him, he's like, yeah, he didn't really, I don't think he really has any certs like that. We put too much value into these things, into what other people think. And because of it, we put ourselves in these compromising pretzels to do everything for the satisfaction of who or whom or whatever the hell you want to call it. There's no, you wanting to learn web app stuff is for you, is a goal that you set. Therefore, whatever pace you take it at is the pace you take it at. We've talked about this on streams and things and other chats before. There is no timetable to determine if you're elite or if you're whatever. If you know it, you know it. Like when you go into these interviews, they're not going to ask you how fast it took you to get the cert. They're going to ask you if you got it, and if you if you retain the knowledge, and if you can explain the concepts. And if you can't explain the concepts, can you find the way to answer the question to explain the concept? Here's another buck here's another thing I'm gonna say right now. Hey, listen. My current what I'm doing currently, what I'm doing currently pays me more than anything I've ever done in any other technical role. And I've probably done 3% of my time since I've been in this consulting role has been doing pen testing. I'm going to say that again. What I am doing currently in consulting, and yes, it's different. And again, I every time I say it, I have to credit JB, John Breath, Tyrone Wilson, because in 20 something, on different occasions, they kept telling me that I needed to go into it for myself, and I told them that no, they were crazy, and I will always apologize. To matter of fact, I think I have a call with JB later on this week, and I'm gonna tell him again that I should have listened to him all those years ago. But in my current capacity as a consultant, if I had to split up my time in percentages, 3% of my time has been in actual pen testing. Now, I might do some validation. I might fire up Burp Suite or I might whatever. But most of the stuff that I do is knowledge based. So I'm in these meetings with these higher ups and these CISOs and these managers and these art security architects and stuff like that. And I'm in there explaining to them how it should be done. I'm explaining to them in what capacity it should be done. I'm explaining to them why it should be done from a compliance standpoint, from a security standpoint, from whatever. This is why I say the having the knowledge and having that stuff or knowing where to get the answers is just as important as the technical stuff. Now, when they say, Davin, we need you to get behind the keyboard, oh yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it. I, you need me to do a quick pen test? Like I said, I've done a pen test. I've done a pen test. I've done validation. I've done vulnerability validation. I've done exploit validation to make sure that the vulnerability was exploited or whatever. I've done all of that. But as far as like a full pen test from beginning to end, that is the least. That is the thing I do the least at this in this current thing. So again, do the work, learn it, understand it. Don't rush into everything. That's what I'm saying is that's why I said if you're gonna do like the web app stuff, all right, cool, do the web app stuff. You're gonna take a break from the web app stuff, all right, cool. Then you know what? Just browse through a JavaScript book, browse through some Python. Why? Because now as you start working more in web apps, and then you go back and now you say, all right, cool, I'm gonna go look at how to do a code review. Now you know, okay, this is written in Python. This is JavaScript. This is what it's telling the application to do in the situation. This is whatever. But the jump from one to the other is literally apples and oranges. Now, that being said, I respect what you said and I understand what you're saying. And if you feel like that's just something you just kind of need to take a fall back, then cool. It, I think again, it's not that I feel like it's more it's patience, man. It's hard to. All right, here's another. And hey, listen. I feel like I feel like I'm doing the what was it? Remember back in the day when there was that magician that was going on TV and telling all the secrets, and then they were like, "Oh my gosh, he's giving it all away, and he's gonna get in trouble and all of that." I feel like this is some of this. I feel like this is what I'm doing right now. Are you struggling to get the skills, or do you feel like you're struggling to get skills because you're not applying them to real world, or are you saying it because like you're struggling in the labs? Because and if you don't believe me, y'all can Ask a pen tester who you trust, who will tell you behind the scenes. A lot of the stuff that you're going to learn as far as exploits in pen testing, you're not going to do in real world. A lot of the exploits that you're going to learn in pen testing, you're not going to do real world. Why? Because of two things called scope and rules of engagement. It is very rare that you will do anything that will cause a denial of service condition in a real world pen test. Now, if it's a red team where everything is, where is all weapons free, then fine. But very rarely in a regular in house or even third party pen test, unless it's a red team engagement where you have full authority to do whatever it is you need to do, you are not going to do a lot of the exploits. This is what you're going to do. Hey, listen. You are going to do your reconnaissance. You are going to do your enumeration. You are going to do your vulnerability scans. You're going to do your analysis. You're going to do your your validation. You're going to research and see if an exploit does exist or if there's an actual CVE for it. And does that CVE also include an exploit? You are going to review that exploit and you are going to then determine if that exploit will that exploit break anything. If you're testing an application, whether it's a web app, mobile app, whatever, cloud app, whatever, if you are testing in production, you aren't doing it. You're going to get all the way up to the point where you can fire off the exploit and you are not going to do it. Why? Because usually that means that vulnerability is going to be a high or a critical. You are going to halt testing. You are going to contact whoever your POC, your point of contact is. And you're going to tell them, hey, we have this vulnerability that we believe is exploitable and will be highly successful. Now, some shops will actually tell you to build out a lab environment similar to what you're working in, right? So they'll tell you to build out a quick app or something using the same version of, I don't know, Node.js or whatever, right? Basically create the same conditions that you're currently working in and exploit that in a lab environment. And then if you can exploit that in a lab environment, or you can exploit that in a lower environment. So instead of production, you exploit it in staging or dev or the sandbox or whatever. Anything that mirrors production, you can do it there. And then because you can do it and succeed there and it mirrors production, it'll count as doing it in production. So those are the situations where you might have to do it. But there are times, especially in some of these other sectors, where if you can prove that everything lines up, they'll just say, okay, boom. And when you write the report, you're gonna write the report that says found this vulnerability based on this version of the service that's running. Because of that, there's a CVE that's connected to it. There's an exploit in the wild. However, we did not do exploitation as we felt that could cause a denial of service condition or do something that could negatively impact the target or the client. Again, it's about having the knowledge of what's happening and knowing where to get the answers. You struggle. Okay, so you say you struggle in both as far as the lab environment. So here's what I would suggest, Ty. Pick a vulnerability and then find a lab environment that has the vulnerability. And then do the vulnerability and then exploit the vulnerability. Exploit it as many times as you want. Right? There's some older lab environments. There's BWAP, there's Matildae, there's uh damn vulnerable web application. All of those, and the reason why I say BWAP is because what I like about BWAP is they have different levels of difficulty for the vulnerabilities. So you can do like a beginner SQL injection and then move up to a medium SQL injection and then move up to a more difficult, like a hard SQL injection, right? And again, go through the process and don't and look up the write ups. Look up the write ups because sometimes, and a single misplaced letter, symbol, number, whatever the case may be, uh, is the difference between exploitation and it failing. Especially when you do SQL injection, depending on what SQL command you write. Sometimes you have to do a dash dash at the end. Sometimes you have to do a space dash dash. Sometimes you have to do, uh, you know, and quote quote and quote one quote. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you don't. It all depends. You know what I'm saying? It all depends on how you do it. So that again, find a vulnerability, right? And I think they tell you this in the bug bounty stuff too. Pick a vulnerability, get good with that vulnerability, then move on to the next one, right? So pick cross-site scripting. Do the cross-site scripting labs, knock out the cross-site scripting labs, SQL injection, learn that. Like, but that being said, when you get into the real world, a lot of that stuff may not work. A lot of that stuff may not be there, right? SQL injection isn't really out there crazy like that anymore. I mean, there's some version of it like NoSQL or whatever like that because of APIs, but there's not a lot of SQL injection is not as prevalent or relevant as it was, where are we, 20, 25, 7, 8 years ago. Cross-site scripting, maybe, but you'll probably get a reflected cross-site scripting. Ain't much you can really do with that. So it's just a matter of kind of just if look knowing what to look for and following the hunches, right? Like I tell people with APIs, like if I see there are certain things that I look for in the API that tells me where I should go next. But it's all about just having that curiosity. And again, yo, I don't go. I'm not 100% at every exploit. That's why it's called a fuzz. That's why you're fuzzing. Shoot, my favorite exploit to date that I've talked about, and I'm not going to get into all the details of it, but my favorite exploit to date that we chained together on that crypto app, like that took that took a couple weeks to from like beginning to end. That took laying in bed sometimes and going, oh shoot, let me try this, and then seeing if it worked. But do you know how many times it failed? Do you know how many times it did? Like eventually did everything and was able to bypass the MFA. Like, do you know how many times that shit crash that not crash, but it didn't work. But if you know it's there, or if you just have that hunch that you just feel it in your bones that it's there. Heck, I'm dealing with a vulnerability right now. What's going on, Gabe? I'm dealing with a vulnerability right now that I know it's there. I know it. I just can't crack it. But I know it's there. I can't get in. I don't know if I can get into all the details because of whatever the whatever. But I know it's there. I know it. I know it's there. And every free opportunity I have, I'm poking at it because I know it's there. I have to find the right find the right command, the right syntax, or whatever the case may be. Yo, in this field, you can't like you're gonna fail way more than you succeed. But no one cares. No one cares how many times you tried to exploit. As long as you don't take something down that's gonna cost them time and or money, they don't care. You know when they care? They care about when you succeed and the impact. They're not going to care about, oh, I tried this many times. So you shouldn't. That's the whole purpose of being a hacker, especially in web app APIs, like AppSec. Hey, listen. For me, the cheat code for that, and this is just me speaking. So I don't want nobody to run with it and go, well, Devin said that this is what it's all about. But for me personally, the reason why I like the AppSec space so much, or I like API pen testing and all of that, is because it allows me to have the curiosity of a child. What do I mean by that? It allows me to be that kid that sees a room full of buttons and goes, what does this do? What does that do? What does that do? What does that do? Okay, well, if this does this and that does that, what happens if I do this, or I mix this around, or I add this command here and it wasn't expecting it? I feel like I should call this hacker therapy. Real for real for real. Like, but I do. I feel like that's why I think why the AppSec space really resonates with me, because there's so many things that are happening and it allows you to tinker more than, at least for me personally. And I have so, and I know the argument can be made that, well, you could do the same thing in Active Directory and all of that, but I just feel like there's just so much more going on in the AppSec space, from web applications, mobile app, cloud app, AI. There's way more that allows you to be that hacker in the traditional sense of trying to figure out how things work and trying to get things to work in ways that they may not have intended it for them to work. So don't get discouraged if you're working on trying to exploit something and it doesn't work. I've missed more shots than I've made. That's the difference between the real world pen testing or real world cybersecurity and the stuff you see in the labs and the stuff you see in the classes and in the schools and all of that. They are made to be exploited. They are made to be successful, to have a higher success rate. I'm not saying that these labs aren't challenging because I can go on Hack the Box right now and strike out. But they're made to be varying levels of difficulty with but have something there. You're going to run into real world pen tests, real world bug bounties where you're not going to be able to find anything. There's going to be times where you're not going to find anything, but something was there. There's going to be times there where you're not going to be able to find anything because there isn't anything to find. The moment you take, and I might be using the wrong word, but the moment you take ego out of the equation, like you can't be a hacker and have, actually let me rephrase that, because you do have some hackers who have really massive egos. But the moment, for me, the moment you take ego out of the work is when you're truly able to go into figuring it out. Let's yeah, I like yeah. The moment, because people walk into it with this ego that, oh well, I can't, I'm a hacker, therefore it's gonna work a certain way because of XYZ or because I'm whatever. The moment you put that to the side and you're just like, look, I'm just looking at it to look at it and figure it out. Like, I like I said, there's a vulnerability. There's something that I'm looking at right now, and I know it's there, and I I sometimes I fail miserably. Sometimes I make a little bit more progress that lets me know, that reinforces that, okay, I am on the right track. So again, it's just all about having that patience. It's all about having that patience, man. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop because I'm gonna send off these emails, and I can't share I can't share my screens on these emails. But I really appreciate everybody who was here. I want to thank Mary, Rena, Ty, Gabe, Chaos. Was it Lexi? Um, who else? Who else was here? I'm sorry, Leah, not Lexi. So everybody who was in the chat, everybody who was just kind of lurking, everybody who gave us a follow today, I appreciate y'all. We're gonna go ahead and get up out of here. We're gonna start going through and closing. Um, Maybe I'll be back on tomorrow. I don't know. I don't know. But this has been a co-working stream slash tech tech talk therapy session. I appreciate everybody. I appreciate all of you. I will talk to y'all. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out. Be safe. Have a great week. If I don't see y'all next time we're on. All right. Be safe.